Alright, so I just finished filming my booktube newbie tag video, and I figured since I have my little notebook, not sponsored, still open to the page where AUTHORTUBE's newbie tag is as well, I figured why not also film for that. Here's my little introduction that I did for booktube newbie tag. I hope you enjoy it enough to want to stick around to find out what my answers are to the AUTHORTUBE newbie tag. So let me just give like a brief-ish introduction. My name is Winter Hart, and I am a creative writing student at Southern New Hampshire University's College of Online and Continuing Education. I don't really know what my class status is, like if I'm a junior still or whatever, but I started at SNHU in October 2018. That was about a year after I'd chosen to become a creative writing major in general. I started the year before taking classes at my community college again, this time for creative writing. I met some really good friends there, friends that are still my friends now. My experiences in those creative writing courses I took, it was like Intro to Creative Writing and then Advanced Creative Writing or something. I forget exactly what the titles were. And then I also took, it was like a literary magazine class. My experiences in all three of those courses was what propelled me to want to really start seriously pursuing authorship as my future career, if it ever happens. The problem is that right now I have yet to actually finish a novel. I'm working on my first one, but I have like at least 3 or 4 planned. I wrote the majority of it last summer, and I haven't written anything in it since last summer. And I think the last time I wrote creatively was in December. I mean, it's August right now, so it's been a while. I tend to fall in and out of everything I do, including reading as well as writing. So when I say that I'm a booktuber as well as a author-tuber, I really truly mean that I am. It's just that sometimes I fall into slumps. It really sucks, and I really hate that part about my personality, but I've learned to just try to go with it. I also have my own gaming channel. It's linked down below, of course, but the only reason that I have a separate gaming channel as opposed to a separate AuthorTube channel and BookTube channel is because I figured that since the BookTube community and the authorial community are pretty close together, they're not entirely intertwined like that, but we're like overlapping a little bit. I've seen some other booktubers who have gone on to get literary agents and are writing and working on publishing their first novels. I figured why not just keep BookTube and AuthorTube as the primary focuses of my channel, alongside, you know, life vlogs or, you know, what I'm doing this week. And I'm sorry, I'm so boring, but I am getting better at every video and in every experience, and I've finally started networking with booktubers. I found such a warm and welcoming community there, but I have yet to find that community on AuthorTube because I haven't really come out stating officially that I am a part of it. I need to watch more AuthorTube videos. I'm pretty new to watching booktube videos too, but I just felt like jumping in and becoming a part of those communities because I've been blogging off and on for the last 2 years, and now that I'm finally doing it more consistently, I don't know, I want to make friends. Alright, so let's get right down to business to defeat the Huns. AuthorTube newbie tag. 1. How did you find out about AuthorTube? Well, I was on Twitter and I was trying to like look between like different booktuber accounts, and I found out that there are some people who are also part of the AuthorTube, and I was like, oh cool, and some of them were also part of both booktube and AuthorTube, and I was like, it's me. So here I am. I'm officially stating that I want to be / am a part of AuthorTube. I have participated in NaNoWriMo for several years, but I've never been able to completely finish any novel for it because it's always in the middle of the frickin' school year. And now that I go to SNHU, even though it's online, like our classes are like 8 weeks long. So at the end of October, I'm finishing one class and starting a new one, and the first couple weeks of a new class are, I mean, they can be a little intensive, but it really depends on the class, so I never really have the time to focus on it, and when I do, then I end up falling out of it. Like I said, I fall out of things here and there, and that's what I've had to get used to regarding my personality and habits, and it's really annoying. So I mean, even then, like during the school year, my video uploads stop being as consistent, you know, and I mean, I think that's understandable because my attention is elsewhere. My reading attention and energy go towards reading textbooks, and my writing energy goes towards writing the weekly discussions and any papers I have to write. It's pretty much like a small paper every week that we have to do, plus a discussion, which is totally understandable. It's workable. I'm able to do it, but yeah, I found out about AUTHORTUBE and now I'm here. 2. Which genres do you write in? Generally speaking, I like to say that my work falls under / within YA / NA or new adult genres. I know that new adult is more new and it hasn't really caught on so much in terms of as like a huge widespread genre. And I've actually had someone critiquing my work who said that because of that, it might be easier for me if my work was technically like YA for real instead of new adult. So I fall into those two broad genres. And then most of my work also seems to take on a magical realism / fantastical sort of note to it. I really like writing, I call it slice of life, but apparently it's contemporary. I like writing contemporary stories as well as like contemporary fantasy stories. I write like a whole slew of things. Like I think one of my stories is totally like a sci-fi opera type crazy bullshit story. And then another one is like a high / dark fantasy, kind of YA. And then my other story is new adult / YA, more dark fantasy. And then my other story is contemporary fantasy, kind of YA, new adult. And then I have another in progress that's also, it's kind of new adult, but it's also like, I think that one's just fun. It's like a Christmas novel that I'm working on. So yeah, those are the genres that I mostly write in. Number 3, what is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? Okay, this is a 3-parter question. My preferred writing tense, let's see. I actually really enjoy writing first person, although second person's really fun as well. And then third person, I mean, I feel like that's a given that people like to write that too, but first person really kind of immerses you into the story in a way that the other two don't. But I feel like second person itself also has its own way of immersing you. It's just a little bit different and most people don't really know how to do it. In my time in certain fandom groups, I have become really familiar with second person, so that's part of the reason why it's even up here. I don't really know regarding omniscient or otherwise for third person, but I do like first person and I've gotten a lot of my work done in first person. Number 4, I couldn't really understand the person who was saying this. Like, are you a plotter or a planner or some amalgamation of both of those words? I think the question is actually getting at like, how do you plan your stories or do you plan them at all? So I like to have my stories planned to a certain degree, and then from that degree, I allow for room of creativity and fluctuation. I'm not entirely sure I would say I'm either a planner or a plotter or whatever. Sometimes when I actually have the whole idea of a story, I just sort of write down an outline, but I know that plans can change and outlines can change and fluctuate. And I feel like whenever I find that I've had an outline that has changed, I'm like, well, what's the point of doing outlines then? Well, it's because I need to remember the direction in which I wanted to go. But my personality goes in and out, in and out. Same can be said for my energy levels, because I suffer from mental illnesses that impact and impede my abilities to do things. School, YouTube, and otherwise included. Number 5, are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? Technically yet to be published. I don't really want to be self-published. I feel like that's everybody's go-to when you say you want to be like an author or a writer. Oh, are you gonna self-publish? Because they don't believe that you can be like published by like a publishing house or with the help of a literary agent. I mean, it's all meant to be encouraging, but it just comes off kind of like, oh, you can't make it, so you're just gonna have to self-publish because nobody's gonna want to read your drivel. Oh, sorry, this is a layman. They wouldn't say drivel, they would say crap. But I have actually been published, not officially by a publishing house or anything, in my community college's literary magazine. They published the first intro chapter that I wrote, like it was like rough draft and everything, of my story that I call Coffee at 3 a.m. I've since then edited it. Still needs to be heavily revised, but so does the rest of the story. They also published a piece of flash fiction that I wrote entitled Fire and Water, and it's from my novel idea that I call Winterland Pendragon's Light. And then I think those are the 2 written pieces that they published by me. I mean, they also published a painting of mine. I think it was like a couple paintings. 2 of them were like on the online version and one of them was in the print version. I've been published, but not by like a publishing house and not with the help of any literary agent. So yet to be published is the answer I would stick with. Number 6, what publishing company, literary agent, and or printing company are you represented by or use? If you're not yet published, what is your dream publishing house and or literary agent? Okay, all right. I think my dream publishing companies fall within YA/new adult genres. So like there's like Bloomsbury, there's HarperCollins, there's Harper Teen, there's a few. I just don't really remember them. And a lot of them are also indie publishers, so I don't really have a dream publishing company. I just want to get published. Eventually, once I finish writing my story, dream literary agent. I don't really have one. I mean, I just want someone who likes my work and believes in my work and my creative vision and stories, and who really wants to help me get myself out there and connect with readers. And the only thing that I would worry about is the agent taking advantage of me, but I would hope that whomever I find as an agent who believes in me wouldn't do that to me. There has to be a level of trust between us for me to take you on and for you to take me on. And there's no printing company that I use or am represented by. I don't have a literary agent. I'm not represented by a publishing company. I'm not represented by a printing company. So I don't really have any answer for the first half, but the second half I've already answered. I'm not right at that point in my writing where I can freely look for them for real to send them my work, because my work is all unfinished. Number 7, what AuthorTube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? That's a good question. Since my channel's not just one type of channel, or I'm not just a booktube channel, or I'm not just an AuthorTube channel. I mean, my gaming channel is just a gaming channel, but this one is not just booktube, it's also AuthorTube. You're gonna see booktube stuff and you're gonna see AuthorTube stuff, and it's just whatever I can manage to film and do alongside whatever else I'm doing in my life. During the summer, if I have the time and energy, I'm usually doing readathons. This is my first year doing readathons. But if I'm not doing a readathon and I'm in school, then you're gonna see me posting probably like vlogs about how tired I am from homework or me working on homework. And if I'm not in school, which is gonna take at least 2 more years, and it's not summer, I have to have the inspiration to write. Maybe you'll see some writing vlogs whenever I do actually write, and they're gonna be very inconsistent, and I am so sorry about that, but I'm gonna try to keep up with both communities because this is what I want to do. I don't really think I answered the question very well. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, I'm gonna post what I want to post, and if it's booktube, if it's AuthorTube, if it's otherwise like a vlog or just a tag or whatever, there you go. So number 8 is, when did you start writing? I feel like I've always been coming up with stories, but I haven't really written a lot of them down, except for like this one where it was just like a random scene. It was like this one girl, I think her name was like Ariana or something, and she was talking to some other girl, and they were just like, oh, you know, I have so much homework, and that was it. That was the whole scene. I must have written it when I was like 8 or something. I've always come up with stories in my head, and a lot of the times it had been fan fiction style stories, but I've never actually written them out and tried to craft them. And then over time, while studying anthropology, which was my main major in college before I switched to creative writing, I started becoming more interested in stories as opposed to what it was that I was studying, which was cultures, how groups of people work. I was like, well, stories are what keep the world going. And then I just figured out that stories are far more impactful than we usually admit. I gave up kind of on anthropology and switched over to writing because I really wanted to create my own story, and I'd been trying to create some stories since high school. Came up with a story idea. I didn't know it at the time that it was a novel idea. When I was 15 and it was like 2 a.m. and I was trying to sleep and I couldn't sleep, and suddenly I had all these ideas and I was hyper manic about it, and I wrote them down on this notepad, and my mom was there. She can vouch for this. Kind of always been writing, just not like actively writing a story. Probably because I felt like I didn't have the vocabulary or the command of language that I do now. I feel like my whole life has sort of led up to this point in my life. 9, what was the first story you ever wrote? Like I said, it was about a girl, I think her name was Ariana or something like that. And she was talking with her friend and they were like, oh my god, I have so much homework. Oh, well, you know, and I was trying to like describe how things looked. That was the main focus. It was just sort of like a little contemporary type thing. Otherwise, fan fiction wise, usually I had like self-inserts for Pokemon and Harry Potter. I wasn't really like a huge shipper of anything in Harry Potter. I mean, like, I was in love with Harry Potter, but also what would happen if I went to Hogwarts alongside Harry or just afterwards. And then Avatar: The Last Airbender happened and I made fan fiction in my head about original characters who would pair off with, like, you know, some people. Like, I think there were like 3 sisters and Zuko was like interested in all of them. I was 13, okay? And then I found, you know, Zuko and Katara a ship, and I was a shipper like that for a long while. That was pretty much like the earliest sort of stuff. A lot of it, like I said, was self-insert, and that was kind of, in hindsight, kind of a little key that showed that I was wanting to write my own story, even if it's in a pre-existing fictional world. But now I'm trying to world build myself and write my own story. So there you go. Number 10, what authors have inspired your writing the most? Whoever does the main story writing for the Pokemon games at Nintendo, definitely. And then there's J.K. Rowling, of course. Harry Potter was my first huge book series. Who else? I think Gail Carson Levine was like an author that I read a lot of as a kid. Ella Enchanted and Two Princesses of Bamar. I love that book. Sarah J. Maas is a new one, or new to me. Isabel Sterling is a very new one. If I think of any more, I'll come on in a different video and say. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you find or have the time? A little bit of both. If I'm really in this sort of like writing streak, then I just write all the time, or at least all the time that I can manage. If I'm not, it's kind of hard to schedule it because I don't like sticking to schedules. I really need to fix that, honestly. But I don't have like a set schedule for myself anyway, so I'm just trying to wait until I get the inspiration. Which is a really bad way of going about things, but I need to get more regular with my writing. And then number 12, do you type on a computer or typewriter, write everything by hand, or use a blend of those, and where do you write in general? I typically write completely on computer unless I'm somewhere where my computer is not. In a classroom and I didn't bring my laptop, or like I'm in a library or something, I would write with like a notebook. I always keep one of these notebooks around with me. This is just my Avengers one with all my lists in it, but I have several writing notebooks that I would keep with me, and there's one main one that I would definitely bring around with me whenever I have writing ideas. Otherwise, everything is on the computer and I always have to transcribe things into the computer so I don't lose it, and I put it in Google Drive. And then 13 is the last question. What are you most looking forward to now that you're part of AUTHORTUBE? Connecting with other authors and growing my social media platform, and hopefully finding future readers who might want to read my books whenever and if ever they're published. But mostly I want to like join the community and have fun and make friends like everybody else and learn. I want to learn more about writing. I want to become a better writer. That's why I'm in school. That actually ends off the tag, so that's everything from me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch my booktube newbie tag, it'll be linked down below. I film these literally back to back. Thank you so much for watching. Follow me on social medias, like and subscribe if you like, especially if you want to follow me on Twitter and get to know me as an author and we can like swap advice, or Instagram. That'd be wonderful. I'll see you guys in another video. Bye everyone.